Come with me if you want to create something. Bit about myself. It's all about me, isn't it? I am an art teacher. Joe Biden paused there. And I have to, struggling hard to remember what I am at the present moment. Apologies for the noise. I'm going to keep apologising through the whole video for this rain noise, but like I said, I could wait till it stops, but that might be a long time and then I'd have nothing to do. I'm an art teacher, studied at National Art School, printmaking major, and then went into teaching and ended up teaching maths, technology, art, photography, digital media, you name it. In the end, I was teaching engineering studies. That's a long story. Look on the channel if you want to find out about that. And presently, I am a full-time engineering student at UTS, and what I do to balance out that left side of the rational mathematical thing that I'm doing with the uni work is I continue to try and be creative. And REDBUBBLE, at the present moment, is my, and REDBUBBLE and Merch by Amazon is where I'm taking artwork and turning it into designs that go on t-shirts. And so far financially it's been not a huge success, but gee, I'm having fun doing it. So, and I'm hoping that you can have fun doing this too. So let's go. Now, I know some of you are going to be saying, I don't have enough money to buy a subscription to Photoshop. I don't know how to use Photoshop. You will very, very quickly learn how to use these programs if you give them a go. And I'm going to show you step by step how to do this. Now, I am using Photoshop CS5, a very old version that was left on the computer that I found in the gutter. Okay, so if I can do this on a 2008 iMac that you can probably buy online for about $50, using software that was just left on there, that's CS5, which is very, very old Photoshop software, you can do it too. Now, obviously, if you're watching this, you have a computer. If you don't have CS5, I'm going to put links down below for a program called Photopea, or Photopea, depending on how you want to pronounce it, that has exactly the same interface as the Photoshop program that I'm demonstrating this on. So you can pretty much follow point for point on Photopea my work on CS5. They're very, very similar. If you have any problems or any issues that come up, please, once again, comment and I'll try and help you out. There's also a program called GIMP, which is very similar as well. So I will put links, and I think GIMP you have to download. Photopea you can use online. Okay, so if you haven't got enough memory or things aren't working for you with GIMP, you can use Photopea. And if you've got Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop, once again this will work as well. Okay, so no excuses. It's time to create. It's time to make that t-shirt design. It's always nice to hear that pitter-patter, the rain on the roof while you're in a nice warm studio. This is my treasure chest, and in here we've got various prints. The one I wanted to show you is this one here, because this is what we're going to be using to create our work. Now, this work is going to be based on this black and white print. Now, the great thing about a black and white print like this with white in the background is that you could grab a brush and a piece of paper and do a black outline of anything and then do what you want behind it. Okay, so you might be thinking, well, I haven't got a woodcut print on rice paper. Anything that you've created that's a black line on a white background, you can do this process with it to create a shirt. Okay, so think outside the box, and I'm now going to show you how to turn this into a great t-shirt. So like I was saying, obviously you can create artworks that are going to be a little bit more finished, and this is a design that I've used to create a shirt, and I've actually stuck lettering on there to make it look a little bit grungy, and there's actually a cat's head that goes in here that I insert later on. The great thing about having stuff on pieces of paper that you can then drag into Photoshop is that you can create iterations, different versions of a particular t-shirt. So one design can create several designs. So for instance, this one here, okay, which is up on REDBUBBLE, you've got the reflection of planet Earth here, but in another version, we've got the cat's head in here. So it created more than one version. You can change text, you can do lots of different things to it, so you can get a lot more than a single version out of it. This one, the cat's head goes in the top of the cannon. Okay, so there's lots of stuff happening there. Now, for this type of work we're doing today, a simple black outline like that can be scanned into your scanner. If you don't have a scanner, take a photo of it. Take the best photo you can, make sure it's in focus, in good light. Bob's your uncle. And all of these are things that I've used to create shirt designs using this process that I'm about to teach you today. Okay, so I'm hoping that sort of gives you an idea of the flexibility of this process, and by the end of this whole thing, I'm hoping that it's something that you'll think you can do. Okay, so please comment down below if you've used the video. It helps the algorithm, which means more people get to see the video. And the other thing that I'd really like to see is that people are actually enjoying the video. If I get some feedback about what works and what doesn't, I can improve my my output. Okay, so, and it'd be nice to know that it's actually beneficial to somebody. So please like, subscribe, and comment. Okay, it'll keep me sane. Saner anyway. Like I was saying, here are some of the designs on my shop, and I'm just going to show you some of the ones that were done on this type, using this type of technique. All of these designs here, this one, all of these were used, we're using the technique that I'm demonstrating presently. And the actual design that we're looking at is this one. Hold on, where is it? That's the white version of it, and that is the rainbow version. So this technique is going to show you how to do this, but like I said, it is such a great and organic way to work, and you can pick it up very, very quickly, and it's a very powerful technique to create a myriad of wonderful designs. So we need to go to the computer, Rapunzel. This is my 2008 iMac that I found in the gutter, and look, it says here the selected movie won't play on your display. This movie can be played only on displays that support. Yeah, okay, go away. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into CS5, and like I said, you could go to Photopea, you could probably jump into GIMP to remove a background. Okay, so if you are having difficulties still with this whole process, please drop me a line. Okay, so we jump into Photoshop. This is Photoshop CS5, and it's going to bounce around for a while because, bear with me folks, one of the disadvantages obviously of using old hardware, especially when you're pushing it to its limits and it's 15 years old, is things might take a little while. So patience is most definitely a virtue. But if you haven't got the cash or you're too stingy to buy a better computer, this will get you out of trouble, won't it? Okay, so we're going to open our file that I showed you earlier, which is our Bodhisattva woodcut print. And I've put that on the desktop, and let's just go and find that. There it is there. And like I said, when you're taking these photos of these artworks, try and get them as focused as possible and take them in full sunlight, out in the open, and you'll get a good image. Now, it's beneficial to do that because you can sharpen images in Photoshop, and quite often I do. If I take a photo and it seems like it could be improved in focus, there is things you can do. There's a thing in here called the unsharp mask and whatnot, but that will be for another video. So this is our image that we're going to start with. And also, what I'm going to do now, straight off the bat, is open another file where we're going to put all the stuff that we use and that we create. And I, presently, are tending to use the dimensions for merch by Amazon. because originally I was making things in 2 different sizes for my Redbubble store. I was making things in the following dimensions. The dimensions for Redbubble were 1280 pixels by, sorry, no, what am I talking about? That's the dimensions for, oh, sorry. I'll start again. For Redbubble, it was 7632 pixels by 6480. That's 7632 by 6480 pixels. And for merch, for the t-shirts at least, because the hoodies have a different dimension, I've been using 4500 wide by 5400 high. So now what I'm doing is I'm just doing everything 4500 by 5400. It converts reasonably well back to Redbubble for all products as well. At least I've found that that's the case. So please let me know if you disagree. And so that just saves having to do things in 2 different dimensions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a file. I'm going to go File, New. And in the width here, I'm going to put in my name, because it's always good to name things something that you'll be able to find later on. So I'm going to say Rainbow B for Rainbow Bodhisattva. And I'm going to put in for the dimensions, width of 4500 and height of 5400. And that is the dimensions for a t-shirt in Redbubble. I'm going to put in the resolution of 300. That's just how many dots per square inch you've got. Basically 300 is usually the default for a print product. And I use my color mode RGB and background set to transparent. I'm going to hit OK. So there it is there. That's your space that you're going to be building your t-shirt on for Redbubble and for Merch by Amazon. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my original image, and it's sideways. You can see my little Tootsie shadow there, I think, or a shadow of my head. I'm not sure. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to go Image, and we're going to Image Rotate 90 degrees clockwise. And like I said, the noise in the background, my sincerest apologies. It's raining in Sydney, which is good thing, because you know, it gives me a reason to be inside now. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab my rectangular selection tool. So all your tools down this side are very similar to the ones on Photopea. And you can see that when you hover over the tool, it tells you what it is too. So now I'm just going to click that rectangular selection tool. I'm going to jump up here to this top corner and drag the rectangle out and let go. So now the little dancing ants tell me that that's selected. Now there's lots of shortcut keys you can use, and I'm sure you young people are going, why doesn't he go Control-C, Control-V and all that sort of stuff? Well, it's because I'm old and I can never remember them. So I'm just going to go Edit, Copy. And then I'm going to jump into the other tab, which is our tab for the Merch by Amazon and the Redbubble shirt. And I'm going to go Edit, Paste. I could have gone Control-C, Control-V as well. Now I'm going to grab my little Move tool up in the left-hand corner, drag this up into the right-hand corner of my image. I'm going to go, I'm also going to go View, Fit on Screen. Hey, let's make it big enough. And then I'm going to go over here. Now you can see here too, if I wanted to, look, I'm going to use the unsharp mask on this too, just to show you that you can actually improve. This was taken very badly. If you take things in proper focus, you won't have to do this step, okay? But I'm going to go Filter, Sharpen, Unsharp Mask, and I'm going to pick near the eye here, and you can just drag these. Now I don't even know what these do half the time, but you can see here, if you look at this image, when I turn the preview off and on, you can see it gets sharper. Can you see that? Yes, magic, isn't it? So I'm going to leave that on. I'm going to say, yeah, I'm happy with that. So there you go. You know how to sharpen now. And it's just going to take a little while. Good. And then we're going to get this so it fills the whole page. How do we do that? Okay, we go Edit, Free Transform. Yay. Then if you drag this corner out, it'll go now. See how she's getting really fat now? If you hold down the Shift key, while you're dragging, it'll keep things in proportion. Yay! Okay. And then I'm going to go Enter. and it'll transform the size. Now I'm going to just make sure that we're centered in the frame using my little arrow keys. Now this is something you want to make sure you do really, really carefully so that your design is centered in the frame, okay? So I would even advocate being really fussy about it. You can use guides and stuff, but I just count these little boxes on the left side and the right side, top and bottom, to get an idea of whether it's in the right position. Okay, we're nearly there, amazingly so. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here, select, and I'm going to go color range. This is where it's really amazing because this is something that's saved me so much time. Now I've got at the moment, when I do that, you can see this little dropper. Wherever I click, that's going to select that range of color. Wow, you can see here. Now if it wasn't selecting the way I wanted to, you can play around with the fuzziness to get more and more detail in that print or less and less. That is something you really need to experiment with, okay? Do a few different versions until you're happy with it. So we're about there. Then I'm going to go, okay. And it's going to select all of those white regions. And then I'm just going to hit the delete key. And now, and then I'm going to go select, deselect, so you can see what I've done. You can see through this print now. Pretty snazzy, don't you think? Okay, so now I'm going to get another layer so I can throw some color behind this. So I'm going to go layer, new layer, okay? And I'm going to go okay. Now the thing to remember with Photoshop is that you're working in layers. So at the moment, that new layer I've put is on top of that image, okay? So if I was to start, say I wanted to start putting some color in here. So I'm going to go red. And I got my brush, and the brush size is up here. So you can click here, and you just make our brush a bit bigger. So I got my brush, let's make my brush really big. And I started just painting all over the top of here. That's a bit of a problem, isn't it? Yes, okay. But that's okay, because if I grab this layer, so I go over the right-hand side of the screen, if I grab this layer and just drag it down underneath the other layer, now it's sitting behind the image, okay? So what I did for this process was I actually, for my Photopea, and you can turn the eye off if you want to see what you're doing. You can actually turn the eye off, okay? What I would suggest is, first of all, doing a selection so that wherever you're coloring, it will stay in behind this, okay? So see how I've done that selection now? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, all I did was I just grabbed like lots and lots of colors, and with the brush tool, originally what I did was I just made the size really big, not that big, it's a little bit too big, it's too small. I made the size about, yeah, that's a good one there. I made that size there, and then I just did some colors, okay? Let's do some colors. Now, this is where you can get really creative. This is like kind of like when you're in kindergarten. It's awesome fun. And then I'm going to go drag this down to get some different colors. Let's get some green. So you can grab some green in here. And let's grab another color. Blue would be good. Let's grab a blue or purple. Okay. Drag that in there. And I'm hoping you get the gist of what's going on here, okay? So that's how you get your colors in behind your image. Now, when I was doing this last time too, what I did was, once I'd done that, I went up to Filter Artistic, and I think I went to Blur, and I just played around with, you can also do Distort, and you can do things like pinch, and then you can play around with the amount that it pinches. And it'll do its little, so that's changed the shape of it. And you can also go filter, what did I do? Ocean Ripple, Spherize, I think is a really good one. No, I don't like that one.
But yeah, I'm hoping that you get the idea that you can play around with these filters of distortion. Twirl, that's the one I use. Twirl, yes. Twirl's awesome. So if you play around with the idea of a twirl and go, okay, you see how this is going now? And so you can really have fun with those artistic filters, okay? So that's the way you can actually play around with what's happening in the background. Now, if you ever don't like something, you can just go edit, undo the twirl, okay? Or you can step back in. This is the history panel here. You've got a certain amount of steps you can step back as well. So you could, if I wanted to go back to pinch, I could click on here and go back to pinch, go to brush tool. So you can just step around inside the history palette as well. So that's all good. Now, if I don't want to get rid of that selection that's there presently, I can just go select, deselect. So can you see that this is a really powerful way of designing and not that difficult to do? Okay, so I'm hoping, folks, that we're really on board with this process. Now, for your darks and your lights, you can go, if you want to make them darker, because you're not really happy with how dark your darks are, you can go Layer, New Adjustment Layer, and go Levels. Okay, so now I've got a layer here. Now you need to make sure it's above the actual layer that you're trying to adjust. So now, if over here on the right hand side, if I drag, don't play with this one, you play with this one where the histogram is, where these little mountains are. If we drag the left one across, the darks will get darker. So you're going to let me do it? Yeah. See how the darks are getting darker? And if I go, so I'm going to make them a little bit darker. I always tweak these to make them nice and dark. We want nice black blacks. And then this one on the right, I go the other way to make any whites whiter. Okay, we don't have many whites, so we probably don't have to worry about that. So you can see here now, if I turn off this eye in the layers palette, watch what happens. Look at the image. See how it's really nice and dark now? So that's something that's really handy to do. And the other thing to do is, let's switch on our color. The other thing to do that's really good is go Layer, New Adjustment Layer, and go Hue and Saturation. This is an awesome one to do. So now if I wanted to like really ramp up those colors, I can drag the saturation across. So now if you watch, if I turn the saturation off and on, off and on. So levels, hue and saturation. That will really bring your designs alive, okay? Once you've done all that, I advocate you save this Photoshop document, because then you can play around with these layers later on and create different versions. You can actually put a text layer in and put some text in. You can add different colors in the background, and you could have like a different layer with a different color scheme in the background. So you could create a myriad of different versions of this t-shirt that would be fantastic to put on Redbubble and try and sell, or maybe sell. I've sold a few versions of this, which is awesome. And it's always exciting when someone decides they want to wear your art. Okay, so what do we do now? Okay, we need to save it as a PNG, and we save it as a PNG file because PNGs have clear backgrounds. Okay, that's the type of file that you want to be putting on Redbubble. You can put JPEGs, but let's get in the habit of saving it as a PNG. So we just go File, Save As, and down here, obviously save it as a Photoshop file first, so I would say Save, and then I'd go File, Save As again, and I would go down to PNG, and this is the file that we are going to use to upload to Redbubble, and I might write here version 1 or version 2, and I'm going to go to Save. And I'm going to go OK. And this takes a little while. It's a rather large file. Now, for merch by Amazon, quite often, if the file is over 25 megabytes, you do have some issues sometimes. So that's for another video. But for Redbubble, the uploader, I've got to say, they must have the biggest file server in the entire universe, because they let you upload files that are just the size of an elephant, and it's never a problem. So yeah, it's very forgiving. And I'm just talking a lot now because I'm waiting for, like I said, my 2008 iMac to turn that into a PNG. It's obviously going to be quite a large file, but once it saves, it will be sitting on the desktop. And then all you need to do is upload. Now, if you're confused about how that process happens, and you watch this video and you comment below and say, hey, great video, can you show me how to upload? And a few of the tips and tricks on how to upload, I'm happy to show you how to do that. Anyway, it's done now, and it will be, I think it's saved it in my Redbubble file. So there you go. Have fun. Remember to like and subscribe.